series that I've launched, what I'm trying to do is really go behind the scenes. A lot of times people see the results of the work that I do, but behind the scene, people don't know what it takes to actually pull this off. So part of the information and the knowledge and insights that I want to bring through this new series are business growth strategies that I believe you can also apply as you're going out there to level up, to bring greater value into the marketplace, to secure success, to win, particularly in the global arena. So that's why I'm doing this. Okay. So if you're joining, please do drop a note. Let me know where you're joining from, what state, what country, what's the time where you're at. And let's just get this started because this is supposed to be interactive as well. Otherwise, I could have just recorded this video and put it out there. So, welcome to this engagement. The focus is sharing how to engage with executives, political leaders, investors, really high profile organizations, institutions, government. Now, not everybody needs this, right? Not everybody. It's usually this is an overkill. Like you don't need to. You can build your business without having to deal with this category of people. It's actually easier to not deal with this category of people. Okay, I'm real. I say it as it is. I'm quite direct in my approach as well. So I say it as it is that it's actually easier to do whatever it is you want to do without this category of people that I just that I just mentioned. High profile executives, political leaders, heads of institutions, of global institutions, of multilateral institutions. Those are the people at the helms of affair, leading the world, making key decisions that decides really the direction the world is going. So last week I tried to lay a foundation. So I see people joining us. Azine is joining from Houston, Texas. Welcome for joining. Thank you so much. Um, okay, I usually use contacts and glasses, but I'm not wearing either of those. So I'm like squinting. But anyway, I'll pull this off. Um, Ozaj Irene says hello. You're joining from Abuja. You own a printing press and supply fresh seafood. Awesome, awesome. Please, oh, Professor Joseph and Bella is in the house. You're teaching in college. Oh, yes, you appreciate being yourself. Not too scripted. Yes, usually but this time around, honestly, the topic I'm covering today I needed to script it in a way. That way I don't miss anything because it's very specific, it's very deliberate. Okay. A lot of times people see the outcomes and the results of the work that I do, and they're like, oh, but today I want to go behind the scenes. I want to unveil. And the reason I want to share this is because peradventure, you as well, you have a desire to work with this category of people. I just want to share best practices from my own experience working for years. Okay. So it's still, I mean, it's still going to be fun. It's still going to be enjoyable, hopefully. But again, this is serious stuff. Okay. So if you have questions as well as, or if there's something I'm saying that really jumps out at you, please just put a quote down there. I really want to see which of the message is resonating as well. And if any question comes to your mind, please do drop it. As I wrap up my thought process, I'll be able to check those out as well. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening again. Today, the hot topic is level up. How to engage with executives, political leaders, investors, heads of multilateral institution. The first thing I would say is know your why. Okay. Um, this category of individuals, they are super, super busy. Like they are beyond busy, actually. They're like insanely busy, unbelievably busy. Like, how do I even express this? Oh my gosh. They are super duper 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 busy, like 10x busy. I recognize that. So you also have to recognize that. So when you want to engage with them, you really have to be clear on your why. Like, why do you need to engage with them? What do you need? What is your ask? And why should they respond to you? Like, that you really have to get that clear, because they do not respond to just anybody. In fact, even if you are way up there, they still don't have to respond to you. That's what I've found. I remember once someone at the World Trade Organization over lunch asked me point blank and was like, Toyin, how did you get this person to show up for you? We've made several attempts. He wouldn't even reply our email. It's that intense. Whereas your why has to be crystal clear, and you also have to be able to articulate and present your why. And your why has to connect with them and resonate in such a way that they see it of value to the world, to you, or to themselves, right? Having your why be clear is important. The second thing I would say is understand the protocol of these institutions and the government, or the organization or the business that you're trying to engage with. Usually, what I have found is that this profile, now, last week again, if you've not seen the video of last week, I laid the foundation trying to explain the categories of people that typically I work with. And I couldn't find the best way to explain this, right? I studied to be an architect back in high school, even though I went zigzag all over with mathematics and computer science and all of those things. And yeah, I've been around the block. But anyway, I love using building analogies a lot to convey my message. And what I shared last week was the fact that there are typically three categories of people. People, I say, the penthouse people, people living at the top of in the penthouse, the mid floor, and then the ground floor. Now, sometimes people will be like, Toy, is that a class? Well, here's the thing: the world is not flat. There, the world, however we might want the world to be flat and everybody to be on the same, structural standpoint. The reality is that the world doesn't operate that way. There are structures in the organization for a reason. There are organization structures and all of that. What I try to do is to understand what context within which we need to operate as we exist in the world, and we try to bring value to people, right? So anyway, last week I shared the penthouse people, those living mid floor, and then the ground floor people, and how I go up and down that chain, right? And realizing that the mindset of those groups or categories of people is so totally different. Anyway, so that last week I shared that. The other thing I want to introduce this week is also sharing the work that I do is split into four pillars. I operate out of four pillars. One of it is global events. So we provide immersive experiences to global thinkers, to immerse themselves in knowledge, in the future of the world, because we have to educate ourselves. We have to educate ourselves because some of us are operating and building our business based on brainwash, systematic brainwash of 20, 30, 40 years in terms of how we see ourselves, how we see people, and how we see the world. So I'm going to be packing a lot of nuggets into today's videos, which will be unpacked. You have to unpack over time. Okay. How you see yourself, how you see the world, how you see other people is really part of what you've experienced in life. So through my events, I provide immersive experiences to really drive nuggets home in terms of trends in the world, sectors in the world, so that when you're making a decision as a business person, is based on facts, not emotion, or not out of brainwash. So yes, so events. The other thing is consulting. So behind the scene, people actually reach out to say, hey, Toyin, how should we think about this region of the world? Strategy. Okay, I'm even building my local business. Can you help me with business development, with growth strategies? So I do provide that as well. And then coaching and training. Because what I've also realized is oftentimes when I bring knowledge or provide immersive experiences, people now have knowledge, they now are aware of what they need to do, but sometimes they need a recipe, right? How to put all of those things together. So I also coach every month in my groups, private groups and one-on-one coach and all of that. And then the third component, which we're also growing, is what I call trade facilitation. And that actually has to do with, hey, I'm looking for a buyer, I'm looking for a distributor, I'm looking for XYZ. Can you help me pull this off? Like bringing resources together on behalf of clients. Okay. So I'm giving you context so that you know today's topic around leveling up and looking at the category of people along those four pillars. The groups of people that I work with vary as well, but today we are focusing on what I'll call the penthouse. If you have any other idea in terms of what I should call this, please drop it. I just want to convey knowledge and information. So the best way possible is what I'm trying to do. So penthouse people, let's call them that. They're really busy. You have to know your why. You have to communicate your why. You also have to know the protocol. Now, they do not execute by themselves. Most of them have a team of people. So, in order for you to engage with them, you have to be ready to engage with their team. Okay? They have advisors, they have a small army of people, and it's actually easier for them to respond to you privately than to show up publicly. So when you want them to show up publicly or do things publicly, it becomes, you're not just asking an individual, you're actually asking an institution to deliver a message, which creates extra work for so a bunch of people. Be aware of that. In terms of the protocol of these offices that these individuals occupy, it's not just about them as individuals, it's about their institution or their government, because they stand on behalf of major bodies. Let me give specific examples. So when I engage, for example, with Fortune 500, even Fortune 1, so for example, the CEO of Walmart, I am seriously aware that my ask on them is heavy. And because I know my why, the why that I do what I do is not really about me, because here's the truth, full transparency. I don't have to come and engage or educate people publicly, but there's a commitment I have to carry people along this journey. And I'll share more as we go on. So go with me, just bear with me, okay, on this journey. So my ask if I'm asking for something for me or my work privately, which I do anyway, it's very easy. Oh, can we think about Africa store? Oh, sure. Talk to this person. Oh, okay. Like, that's easy ask. An easy ask gets easy response when you have this relationship. Okay. What I'm talking about now is not the easy ask. For example, like for example, working with Ambassador Muchanga, the Commissioner for Economic Development, Trade, Industry, Mines of the African Union, the governing body of the 55 countries. I've had ask that is private that I don't have to share publicly, like, hey, trade and investment facilitation training. This is the training I believe government officials on the continent need. I need to deliver it to them. Oh, Toyin, that's so nice. What do you need from me? I need this. And it was like, oh, sure. His team is on it. They're issuing official letter on my behalf. They're sending to the 55 countries. They're saying, hey, Nazaru Toyin wants to do XYZ. Da, da, da. They're moving for me. Those are things that happen behind the scene. The one I'm talking about is when I now tell them and I ask, which I'm going through again right now. I do this every year to myself. Ambassador Muchanga, I need you to show up here. Oh, you've come again, right? Because somebody has to write a speech. Somebody has to spend time reviewing their speech. Somebody has to manage his calendar. Somebody has to help him with the technical gadget. Like it's a team. It takes a team to pull these things off. It's like, okay, Toy. So for example, it's like, Toy, okay, let's talk over the phone. I can't even, your email is just, well, let's talk over the phone. That's what I mean, is that just this awareness of the protocol, the office that these individuals occupy, is usually intense, it's usually heavy, and it's not just them, it's usually their team has to pull this up. So another example, again, these are the things I do behind the scene that I'm now finding I think I need to unveil and share behind the scenes so people really understand the weightiness of this work. So for example, right now, I'm literally going back and forth with the speech writer of Doug, who is the CEO of Walmart, because I put a ask out there, and it was like, oh, and when I put that ask, I was like, I understand if you're not able to do this. I know you're super duper busy, but this would be good for the world. So this is not really something for me. This is bigger than myself. It's a key message because he also sits as the chairman of the Business Roundtable, which is the advisory team that supports the presidency. The largest businesses in the U.S. That's the advisory team that Anyway, economic development, all of that. And I say, hey, the power of trade for economic recovery. Can we pull something together for this year's trade with Africa? But I understand if you say no, I completely do. I know you're busy. And he was like, oh, give me a few days. And I was like, dun, dun. At that point, I'm like, oh gosh, this is not just for me. This is for the world, all of that. Anyway, so that's what I mean is that understand your why. Know why you're doing this. Know the importance and communicate the importance because you're asking people to move the world, pretty much their world, on behalf of your why. So that's something I want to just recognize that there's heaviness and weightiness to this. And just to share the way I work, and I'm so conscious of my nails right now. I'm going to be putting my hands down. I just realized I didn't do my nails because I'm racing. I meant to do my nails. Men don't understand this, but we women were like all over that. So I'm going to be putting my hands down, and I'm like, oh, because I just realized, oh, you forgot to do your nails. Okay. Yes, I can be that person. I can go from talking about boardroom serious stuff to talking about my lipstick brand to talking about beauty and all of those things. That's me. I show up as I am. Okay. So please do keep dropping your questions, your comments. I'm going to get to it. Okay. So let me just give you an example. So if you're in corporate, okay, if you're in corporate, because this also applies to corporate, not just as an entrepreneur, I'll give you an example of how this has played out for me when I was in corporate and me understanding my DNA, not just DNA, who I am and what I do and the value I bring anywhere I am at. I used to serve in strategy, right? I used to serve executive. So for me, I'm privileged to always find my way in places of access. But what I have also found, for example, in my role in corporate, was that strategy, the people designing strategy and the people crafting strategy for an organization, for an entity, for an institution, they're usually the penthouse people. And most people don't know what's going on up there. People don't know what they're saying. People don't know where they're going. People don't understand what it is they're doing. So, I being in strategy, what I realized in strategy is designing a strategy, a winning strategy is one thing. Being able to communicate with those people whose jobs or livelihood will be impacted by your strategy is another thing that a lot of people don't do too well at. They design this shiny strategy, it looks good, they feel good with themselves, penthouse people. The next step is how do you bring it to the ground floor? The frontline workers, like the frontline staff, our people, how do we get them to see that we know we have an idea of where we're leading them and all of that? Those were situations I've always found myself in, where even when I was in corporate. And I remember designing something where I realized that the middle management, even though the penthouse people, I'm going to use that until I figure out the best way to say this, the leadership, even though they communicate to the middle, I found out that a lot of people in the middle always use information as a weapon or they use it as an asset. They hold on to it instead of sharing it down, cascading it down. They're always holding on tight because it secures their strategic position. They're like they trade in information. Like, what do you know that I don't know? I'll share a little bit with you. You give me some. They trade in information, and oftentimes they don't understand to the detriment of the people at the grassroots level. That's what I have found. So I remember in this case in particular, I was like, I need to crack the code. We need to find a way to bring knowledge from the penthouse, the leadership, down to the grassroots and find ways of just breaking the middle or bypassing the middle. And I remember going to my SVP, who I served in capacity as the strategy. I handle the strategy, like if the CEO wants to know how we're spending $250 million, like I have to pull that information working with everybody across the organization. So anyway, one of the things I pitched to him was like, oh, you have this 1 hour session every month with the entire organization. It's an hour. Can I have 15 minutes of the hour? I want to use it for something. And it was like 15 minutes of my 1 hour, right? Yes. And then I explained what it was I wanted to do. And I said, you know what? I don't need anything from you. I just need you to give me an head nod and I'll pull this off. I just need you to say, yes, you have permission. And he did that. And basically, I used that 15 minutes as an opportunity to bring his direct reports in the room, engage them publicly, ask them questions like, what do you do? Where's the organization going? How do you see this region, this functional area? How should people be thinking about that? And with that 15 minutes, really, we're able to deliver so much value to the people, and so many testimonials after of people telling me, Toy, I didn't even know this type of job existed in the organization. When I saw you interviewing them, I told myself I'm going to shadow this person. And eventually, this particular person shadowed this individual and got their job when they moved on to the next job. So there's value. So that's my why. I've done this before in corporate. I'm doing it as a business. I'm making it my business as well to provide access to, grassroots people to really shed light on where the world is going, the future of the world, and bringing the most brilliant minds into the room. Okay. But realize that there's a protocol. There's a protocol. So I see John is joining us from Atlanta. Hey, Bookie. Bookie's joining us from Tennessee. Um, Professor Joseph says is joining us from Northville, Minnesota. Thank you so much. Richmond is joining from the UK. It's late afternoon there, right? Sonia is joining from Burkina Faso. So fantastic. Thank you again for everyone joining. Now, the next question I will have for you is anything that I've said so far, which of them connected with you more or most? And what questions do you have before I keep going on? Because Toyin can talk. Toyin can go off and talk. So anyway, understanding the protocol is so important. Understanding your why and being able to say, hey, this is why. This is why it's important for you to show up in this space. And for me, the why, particularly when I do the Trade with Africa Business Summit, while I move technically mountains to get these groups of people to show up. Like Scott, I need you to show up. He's an investor, he's an independent investor who has invested over 100 million into Rwanda. He's now the single largest private investor in Rwanda. Again, they're not showing up in a way, they're showing up for me, but they're not showing up for me because we have our own thing going privately. Like, I think that's the biggest thing I want to convey here is that be clear where you want people to show up. Because for me, these are relationship and should I say access that privately, I don't have to make it public, right? I don't have to pull them and nudge them and disrupt their day to be on the platform. Trade with Africa Business Summit exists beyond me. It's for people that do need to understand how these thinkers see the world and the strategies they're operating behind the scenes and their mindset and the inspiration which they offer the world. That's my why. And technically, people can't pull this off. And I see a lot of times people are like, oh, if Toyin can do it, then I can do it. I'm like, oh, by all means, please. By all means. If you're ready to do this back breaking, I'm telling you, it's a lot of heavy lifting. It's a lot of back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And sometimes I'm like, if my why is not clear, this is the toughest, hardest thing I would say anybody should do. So your why needs to be clear. But part of my why is also when we pull all of this access together, just as it's on behalf of. So I do my part. Now, those who need to plug into those platforms that we've built, that I've built, all you have to do at that point is plug in because the work has been done for you, you know. And that's just the reality is that if you have to do this work yourself, these are individuals that you can fly in. Even if you're able to get an appointment, you can get to their doorstep and you might stay there 3 hours and still not have access. But when we do all this work and they do show up on behalf of the world, in my mind, it's an opportunity, it's a rare opportunity to secure engagement. So I'm like, let's squeeze this orange because this individual, it takes you sometimes good 6 months to really, of back and forth to really get them. Now, when I also talk about protocol, what I mean by that is, for example, there's a way of speaking and, and engaging with critical people. I'll give an example: African Union or government. I have lots of stories. A lot of times, it is a lot of diplomatic language, a lot of documents where it's like your invitation is formatted in a letter. You send that invitation. The response you're getting back is another letter. It's protocol. It's another letter in diplomatic language to say, because you are engaging. It's like it's so, again, the best way I can explain it is protocol. Understanding the protocol, right? Is that there's a protocol to diplomatic language. Like if you're going to do something, it's a note verbal, it's a this, they have all those languages. And so be ready for that. Be ready for that. If it's corporate, the language is also different. It's like work with my marketing team, work with my speech writer, work with this. My calendar is handled by somebody else. Be ready for that. A lot of times, people are not ready for that. They're like, because if you're working with other people, it's one-on-one interaction. Like if I ask you, show up to my event, it's like, oh, it's a yes or no. For a lot of these individuals, it's not a yes or no. Another example is like, oh, Scott, this is what we're doing. Are you available? It's like, Toyin, that's my vacation. I cannot be bothered. I've worked hard all year. I'm gone. I'll be on a beach somewhere. I'm gone. I'm like, okay, I still need your voice. It's like, Toyin, I'm gone. What do you want me to do? And I said, okay, how about we just record a video before you go? I was like, okay, okay, here's my team. Go work with them. That's what I mean. I need this again is not me. Again, these are relationships we already banter and we go back and forth. This is me asking them to show up for other people that don't have those relationships, but they need to see and to unveil the significance and to learn from them, right? So, for example, that's something 2020 I pulled off. I said, Scott, da, da, da. It was like vacation. I'm out. I'm not coming. I'm not there. I was like, okay, how do I capture your voice and your mind? Because this is something my community needs to hear. The great work you do. So anyway, he passed me on to his team, and then we started this dance, right? Okay, what do you want him to say? I'm like, okay, I'm going to type up 5 questions. Okay. I'm going to type up 5 questions. So I came up with those questions, sent it off to his team, and then his videographer. Like it takes a small army of people, videographer, marketing, this. These are my questions. They pulled it off. I'm sure they got on his calendar, locked him down in a place, or you have to really trap those people. I say, today you're not moving until you give us this, right? And then they did the video and they're like, Toyin, we're working on it. We've done the recording. Now we have to patch everything together and send it to you. These are the things happening behind the scene. Another example, was, let's say, was it 2018? Yeah, I think 2018, when I did some work for African Export Import Bank. If you followed me, I've talked about the intra-Africa trade engagement that they do over there. And I hosted like an info session for them here in Chicago. But one thing I also said was, hey, it's good that I'm hosting this this session on your behalf. But the people that we've gathered here, they still need to hear from you. I know the president of the bank would have wanted to be here. We were trying to get on his calendar, but he was going to New York, all of that. But can you send a message, a key message to this group of people I've gathered here? Like letting them know you appreciate their time. What is your key message to them? And I remember there were a lot of scrambling, like, Toyin, what do you need from us? I'm like, I need specifics. Like, I'm not just so people know this is not Toyin just talking to them, that this is a directive from a multilateral institution that is owned by 50 governments in Africa, and that you recognize the great work we're doing here in Chicago, and you do appreciate that we're listening to this. And they were like, oh, okay, let's pull this off. And then it's a team, right? That's what I mean. It's a team of people. Every time I have this ask on behalf of the community I serve, I recognize that it takes a small army to pull it off. So I'm sharing the behind the scene to also inspire you to say, if this is the direction you want to go, be ready. By all means, it requires a lot of coaching because it takes years to pull this off. But hopefully, this information is of impact, right? It's of value. It's of value to you as well. Okay. What else did I include in my notes? Because I said this is a little bit specific. Okay, remember your why, communicate it, be persistent. Be persistent, be relentless. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's not child's play. Again, they're super, super, super busy. The whole world is asking them for XYZ. They have a team of people filtering global asks of these individuals. You have to be direct, you have to be specific. I remember sending an email once. I was like, oh, and the person replied and said, no, Toyin, what exactly are you asking for? So I know who to direct it to. After all, it's not me to fulfill that need, but I can forward it on your behalf. So clarity is important. Be persistent, meaning I know like the World Bank, Dr. Halbert at the World Bank. Whoa, he knows me now. Oh my God. And I too appreciate Dr. Albert. If you ever see this video, I love you. I appreciate you every single time you showed up. I know you've moved mountain to be there. He's the chief economist for Africa at the World Bank. And usually it's usually my persistence. It's like the Bible says you have to keep like, I'm not leaving you, Dr. Albert, until you come. Like I remember the last one we did in October when I held the AFCFTA roundtable, which is African Continental Free Trade Agreement, the roundtable where I bring the most brilliant minds on that topic, that important topic together. And when Dr. Halbert showed up, he was like, Toyin, look at the people you pulled off. Anytime you're talking about AFCFT in the world, these are the people that know what's going on. Like, how did you pull all of them into the room? Only you, Toyin. It's like you have to be persistent. And again, a lot of these things I do it on behalf of, because these are relationships again that I already have privately. I don't have to bring myself publicly. But one thing we're trying to do is to move the hearts and minds of people. And that's where true impact comes in. That's my why. So you have to be clear with your why. You have to be persistent. You have to explain your why. You have to follow through, because it's easy to drop the ball, because, excuse me, when you start your engagement with this group of people, and remember I said there's the back and forth and back and forth and back and forth with your team. At some point, trust me, you're going to go, okay, I need to focus on something else. You're going to be distracted. Things happen in between, but staying focused and following through is the key. A lot of times for me, it's like, oh, tell us more, and then I provide more. Oh, we need more information, and then you provide more. Oh, show us here, and they're like this, and then I say, what else do you need? Just ask me. So every time they're asking, I'm like, okay, here's it. And they ask for more, I'm like, here is it. And they ask for more, I'm like, okay, here's the document, here's the concept note, here's the date, here's the agenda, here's the other speakers coming, here's the countries represented, here. I follow through on the ask. And if you don't relent, it might take you 6 months. Hopefully not. You're going to get what you want. That's it. You have to stay at it. And they have to see you be serious minded again, because they're super duper 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 busy as well. So that's why at the last thing I want to share is you have to be patient. I am learning to be patient, more patient, and I stay on the price. This is what I want. You have to do it for me. Like, this is what I'm looking for. This is why this needs to happen. The world needs to hear from you. The world needs to hear what's AFCFTA. For example, many people are just waking up and realizing AFCFTA. Wow, what's that? The world's largest trade bloc. What does that mean? Well, guess what? 2019, we already saw that coming, because me being a futurist, a strategist, I already knew it was a game changer. And guess what? The team that pulled this off, the team that pulled uniting the entire continent, you know, I worked with them at my request, again, back and forth, back and forth. They flew 3 members of the team, including Commissioner, His Excellency Ambassador Muchanga. He came with his team. He came with his special advisor. He came with his PR media person. They came to Chicago because I said, come on behalf. Come and speak to my community. Come and speak to us. We hear about this AFCFTA thing. What is it? Deliver a keynote. And he said, fine, I'll do that. But again, back and forth, and letters and protocol and this and flights and plane and where. It's a lot of dance. But he came and he delivered a keynote address. And that keynote address is still valid today. Members of my community still ask for it because it's evergreen. It's evergreen knowledge that you need to understand where Africa is going, why you need to be a part of it as an investor or as a business leader. You have to educate yourself. Again, I do that for myself, but with the trade platform, I do it on behalf of the community I serve as well. Also, the digital platform, when you plug in, you're plugging into a network that you cannot arrive at, right? Over this weekend, I received an award from the Consul General of Nigeria, Ambassador Ben Okoye and his team. They're on my platform. They're on that platform. Every time I tell people, hey, plug into that platform, search for who you're looking for, connect with people, promote your work, engage with people. They're there. I've done the work for you. All you have to do is show up, at least see the value of the work we've done, pay the value, get in there. If you have to get these people, you have to fly and do all of this, and you may not even get them. So I recognize that our platform brings that value into the marketplace. But again, hey, some people say, oh, Toyin, we can pull that off. I'm like, ooh, sure, by all means. The world, I mean, do it your way and all of that. But anyway, I know I'm being, the reason I'm doing this now is unveiling the behind the scene of all of this work. Because when I put content and information out there, I'm like, do people really understand the value this is? Right. And I have an exam. I have lots of examples, but I need to find a way of documenting and sharing those examples. So for example, there was a green energy business leader that developed some solution in terms of how to bring power. In a way, it's a high tech of bringing power to rural Africa. He's done it in the US as well, tested it out. He's been working with USAID, Power Africa. And then when he saw that we were doing this, I was doing the Trade with Africa Summit, he reached out and said, hey, Toyin, well, I've been disappointed by this government and this government. I've been pulling it off. And then Trump came in and everything got disrupted. Do you think coming for your event would be a game changer for me? I was like, okay, send me your documents explaining what you're trying to accomplish. He sent it across. And I have my experts in the room. Like I have a bunch of experts in various fields that support the work that I do, from healthcare, infrastructure, development, technology, command, all of these things that support. I have my experts. So I forwarded this document to my engineering experts in energy. And I was like, does this thing make sense at all? Do they need this in Africa? And my experts, who I wouldn't say, but anyway, very, very dear to me, he then said it makes sense. This would really save costs in pushing power to Africa. So I replied back and said, you need to be at this event and I'll make some introductions for you, which is what he did. He showed up, I made the introductions, and after, people told me he was really deeply emotional. And he came to me and said, Toyin, wow, thank you so much. I got what I needed from being here. So we have a lot of stories like that because, again, when you're engaging with this individual, be clear with your why. My why is clear. Trade with Africa Business Summit, it's a platform on behalf of, right? To say not everybody that wants to move, that care about trade with Africa or advancing trade with Africa, they need to have a strong network. They need information. They need to educate themselves. They need to understand what resources are available to them to help move their work forward, to help advance their work. Not any one of them, not everybody is able to go out there and figure it out and get it for themselves. The platform exists to pull all that resources together. For example, I was just talking to a client where I said, do you know US Exim Bank has resources that can help you, like working capital backed, federal government guaranteed loan that can help you export to Africa? And she was like, I've never heard it before. I said, yeah, that's why at the Trade with Africa Business Summit, we've had them deliver Exim US Export Import Bank out of DC. They came, they flew in, provided all this nugget of information to say, this is how the US government supports advancing trade with Africa. This is what we do with trade financing. As a US company, you can do XYZ. That's why all of the back and forth with them, that's what it's for, advancing all of this dialogue, because more people need to know. That's why I have US agencies show up to say, in the private sector, out of DC, people don't really know that the US government is building strategy and has resources to support businesses that want to expand. So does UK government, Canada government, Latin America, which I also engage. And for this year, we're actually going to be pulling all of that together. It's actually going to be global, in terms of the approach. So anyway, what else do I need to add? Let me see the comments so far. Um, John Stewart was saying, anyone into green energy for Africa? That's one of the reasons you this same question you're asking is one of the reasons why the platform exists. If you ask that question on the platform, you're likely to get more response because we've pulled together people advancing trade with Africa. And that's you just gave an example. Green energy, infrastructure development, healthcare, I mean, you just name what's going, human capital development, trade financing. These are all topics we've covered. We actually have over 40, 43, I think, videos of past engagement explaining e-commerce, how people are moving goods from US to Africa. One thing I try to tell people, just because you're not seeing it on TV, just because you're not seeing it in the media, doesn't mean nothing is happening, right? I've attended events where on the continent where they're closing $42 billion in deals in a 7-day event. Things are happening. The US media, Western media is 5 years behind the scene because they still like to talk about, oh, there's war, there's corruption, there's this, there's that. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I'm just saying if you're in Chicago and all you're seeing about Chicago is crime, this, you don't understand. You miss the whole point that Chicago is the second, financial region in the US next to New York, Wall Street, and all of that. You miss the point of, global global trade, meaning Chicago uses consumes the most cocoa, or they make more chocolate. You miss the economic part of healthcare in Chicago, or trade or import export of it being a global city. If all you're focusing on is crime and this and that, you miss the other side of the coin, which is what Africa has been suffering, where people now think a billion people. There are a billion people on the continent of Africa. There are stock exchanges, there are infrastructure projects going on as we speak. There are things happening, deals happening. The Western media, if you're looking to the Western media to educate you, to showcase all of these things, you're going to wait for at least 5 more years because they're going to go prove it, show it with the skepticism. But the world is moving on. The world has moved on, right? Africa has taken its own future. They've taken the bull by the horn and they're driving their own future. Um, okay. Andrea White says, Toyin, do you have these on YouTube? All interesting stuff, but I'm not able to join. So basically, we have tons of video on YouTube. There are a lot of video that is free, but we also have private community again for people who are ready to engage, to deal. We also have events every month. I have coaching and all of that. So yes, if you go to YouTube, Nazaru, Nazaru, right? Nazaru, search for Nazaru Trade with Africa. You have abundant knowledge in that space. In addition to that, we also have the Trade with Africa network. Let me show. Okay. So basically, the Trade with Africa network is a private membership based platform where individuals every single day network with one another. They show up saying, this is who I am. This is what I'm looking for. Again, around Trade with Africa. They attend events, they access exclusive information because when our stakeholders come to us, right, they send invitations like Ethiopian embassies. Whenever they are doing things, they send, oh, Toyin, this is an invitation. We're doing an investment forum. Here is it. Nigeria will say, oh, this is what we're doing. Morocco will say, they all send it like we are like a hub, like a traffic coordinator. They send it to us. When I receive those invitations or those exclusive information, where do I take them? Trade with Africa Network. Events, access to closed meetings. This is where I put it. Not social media. This is where I put it. So members of the community secure those exclusive access because we do the work on their behalf. That's also where we host events. Every month now, one thing I'm now doing behind the scene. If you see, my weekly live show has transformed. We're going to be bringing top leaders after the Trade with Africa Summit. We're bringing every single month. It's like meet the leader. We'll be having private engagement right there. The other thing I do here is I do training, trade and investment facilitation training, export development training, you know, AGOA, which is the trade policy training, AFCFTA training, coaching here. A lot of times people come, Tony, we need this. I'm like, here, this is not social media stuff, right? I show up on social media from time to time to say, hey, what is going on behind the scene? You're welcome to join us. This is serious stuff, only for serious minded people. But if all you want to do is just glean, we also have free content and all of the thing that we've put resources behind to share with the world, because we are inspiring people to understand what's going on the continent, and we're bringing value, we're bringing resources more and more. Like I said, I operate in 4 dimensions. It's events, immersive experiences. We're going to be doing more every single month. I provide training, coaching, consulting for global thinkers that want to really see the future of the world. That's what I used to do when I was in corporate as well, providing value to executives and leaders, all of that, coaching, training, facilitation. Like, for example, someone was like, oh, I need soybean, seed, da, 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 da. I'm like, okay, join the network. What's next? Then you're going to issue a request for quotation, meaning you're issuing on your behalf. We can send a quotation out to members of our community to say, who has this product in the US or anywhere else that wants to supply Africa? This is the price. What's your price, quality, all of those things. And we help make those back and forth. Again, it seems like I've become very, very good at, I'm a connector. And I connect people to this emerging opportunities as well. So Trade with Africa Network is that private community. I also have another private community that is more for generic. When I say generic, you're not looking for Trade with Africa, you're just looking for support to build your business, whether locally, whether in US or anywhere else. You're looking for that insight, because for me now, an hour, 30 minutes, a session with me is a game changer for you. It is a game changer. I've seen the results, I've seen the transformation. Oftentimes, that for me, I'm focused now on how do we scale this. So if you go to my personal website, let me pull that up, because beyond just Africa, I feel like my work on Africa the last 3 years is established. So now there's another arm to what Toyin delivers to the world. And what I'm realizing, that a lot of my following also is not just about Africa. People have live coaching, business coaching. So if you go to toyinumesiri.com, you see different programs that I've developed. Now, here's the thing. It's tough to scale one-on-one. But the feedback I've received, is that one-on-one is a game changer. Like, people can pay the premium to secure one-on-one for me to laser focus, bring my mind and the way I see the world and the knowledge and wealth and all of those things that I have, to take a look at your engagement, your business, and to say, hey, have you thought about this? For example, it's like, have you thought of this? Right? Like, have you thought of membership driven revenue stream? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about enough that I've even developed like a 6-step process to help you to fast track people through the business development phase? Anyway, those are things I now deliver through my coaching and one-on-one engagement as well. So Toyin, beyond just Trade with Africa, is actually also supporting people that really don't even want to see, they're not interested in Trade with Africa, because after all, I used to provide technology strategy to the world's largest company, Fortune 1. So now I'm realizing, okay, I've done what I set out to do with Trade with Africa, with Nazaru. There's a whole lot more that value that Toyin can bring, and bring it to people that want to fast track their business. And that's where that business growth and personal growth strategy, the business growth series, that's where it came from, is just bringing insights to help people understand that the same mindset and experience and expertise I used to build Nazaru after I left corporate, that's something I'm realizing that people need that speed. If you need that speed, right? Because all of these things, I tell people, smart people, 3 years, you figure it out. 3, 4, 5, you figure, eventually you're going to figure it out. But if you want to figure it out faster, if you want to figure out building your business faster, if you want to figure out expanding faster, if you want to grow your business faster, then I've developed those programs on Toyin Umesiri. I've developed those programs on Toyin Umesiri to help accelerate your goals, and accomplish your goals as well. So that's it. I hope This has been helpful. Let's see what people are saying as I'm trying to wrap up now. Um, Oh, thank you, John. I see you dropping the comments and see, thank you. That totally warmed my heart, John. Thank you. You've been following for a while. He said, this is the link for Nazaro Trade Network. Thank you. And this is the YouTube channel. I appreciate that. There's a short link for the YouTube channel. It's actually YouTube/C/Nazaru LLC. Let me type that out. If you give me a moment, this system allows me to really do that quickly. www.youtube, I'm typing it out for you, .com/C/N Nazaru LLC. And okay, so I think this system also allows me to type it in chat. I love technology. I do. I do. I love technology. In fact, that's one of the things I've set us apart is how I use technology to reach people. So that's YouTube/C. That's the channel. Nazar LLC. That will totally take you to the YouTube. And I tell you, I know people who are binge watching the information that is out there as well. So, any other questions? We also have some business and business to government matchmaking coming right up as I'm putting together the next event. So just watch out for so many more information coming on. Um, what else are people saying? Okay, that's it. Thank you so much, everyone. Please do let me know if you're watching this after as well. We'll leave this video out there. Is this information helping, taking you behind the scene? Is it a game changer? Is it really making any sense? I just want to know because honestly, I want to bring my goal is to bring value whenever I show up, even if it's 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. Value, value, value. That's me. One of the metrics I used to build in corporate America was called value management model. So even in corporate, if your organization is not bringing value, you'll be ready for to be X'd, right? People are looking at org charts every single time to say, why did we hire these people? What are they bringing to us? And that's one of the things, maybe let me put this way. Even if you're in corporate, always think about the value you're bringing to your employers and look for ways to up your game. One thing that helped me to be successful in corporate, and that's why I'm able to engage with people around the world, is that I don't look at title, meaning I don't look at my title. You can stick me in a box somewhere on a title, blah blah. I'm going to be me. Toyin shows up everywhere saying, what can she so I'm like, what's going on in the world here? And I look at it from a system standpoint, from a people standpoint, and saying, I'm here to bring value. I'm here to bring value to you. Like if you engage with me, it's all about value. And I mean, that's just who I am. And I recognize and appreciate so much the fact that so many of the people that I work with understand the value I'm bringing. And I'm going to show a video as I'm wrapping up and saying bye now. I'm going to show a video of His Excellency Ambassador Albert Muchanga, Commissioner for Economic Development, Trade, Industry, and Mines at the African Union, the governing body of the 55 countries, when he visited on my behalf. I'm going to show you a small clip of what he said and his thoughts about me and the work we're doing. And this is me saying bye. Watch that clip, and I'll see you next week. But please do drop a comment. I would love to see which of everything that I shared now was a game changer for you. So that's it. Let me share that video. Bye.
Thank you very much, Helen. I think we've got different titles. We are one of the same. She's a marketer. I'm a politician. We have one objective to win the hearts and minds of the people. And when we do that, we will not take little help. We ensure that you benefit from the process. And certainly we are creating the African continental food area to ensure that ordinary Africans